project. Now, I understand you started started writing the Legion of Superheroes when you were 13 years old? Is this true?
Yes, it is true. Yeah, I didn't know what a script looked like, so I actually sketched out the panels and wrote in the dialogue, and I created a story and sent it in to the editor, and he liked it. And he made me write a couple more, and then he called me up and said, I want to buy these 3, and would you write me a Supergirl story? And so that was my first commission, was a Supergirl story. But they bought everything I ever wrote, and after that I became a regular writer. I did the Legion pretty much every month, and occasionally Superman, World's Finest, Jimmy Olsen, all the Superman books.
You are somebody who, in my mind, is uniquely qualified to comment on what's going on with comics today, particularly in terms of creators and creators' rights. Now, I know at one time, things, for artists and writers were a lot rougher. Not to say that they're, smooth sailing now, but, were a lot rougher. I mean, artists couldn't even get their pages back and things of this nature. How was it that some of these changes occurred to where, things sort of improved for the creators?
Well, it was a group effort. I mean, one of the first things that happened was, I think around the same time, Roy Thomas at Marvel instituted a program where artwork would be returned to artists, but only from that point forward. In other words, the old artwork still stayed in the vault. And DC had a similar policy around the same time. But mostly back when I started at Marvel in 1978, it was all work for hire. You got paid a page rate. That's all you got. You had no rights, no benefits, no nothing. You turned your pages in, you got your check, that's it. And the checks were pretty small. And so when I took the job, I took it on the condition that I could change that. I had a discussion with the president of the company, and I said that we're not going to survive unless we change things. And he didn't think we were going to survive anyway. He wanted to get out of the comics business altogether and get into animation and children's books and things like that. And his only, he said, do whatever you want, but try not to cost me too much money, So I tried to make everything I did self-liquidating. I came up with a royalty program, and I convinced the board of directors at Cadence Industries that we would sell enough more copies so that the $2 million we paid out in royalties would, we'd cover that. That was a tough sell. But anyway, I mean, so one by one I instituted policies. First was a bonus for people who stayed on the book for more than 3 issues. Second was I changed the artwork return so that all the artwork went to the artists. And then I got the royalty program. Then an incentive for creating characters, and which included you forever thereafter own 20% of that character. And an incentive for launching a new title. You got a 1% override on a title if you created it, even if you didn't have anything to do with it anymore. Like John Byrne always got a royalty on Alpha Flight, no matter who was doing it. So, that kind of thing, and try to make it better. I figured if it's work for hire, and I can't change that, they won't let me, let's make it enlightened work for hire. Let's make these guys, and then what that did was that brought in top drawer creators. All of a sudden, guys weren't leaving anymore, and guys were coming back. Steve Englehart came back, Jim Starlin came back. We had Walt, we had Chris Claremont, we had Bill Sienkiewicz, Michael Golden. All of a sudden, all these big talents are showing up and sticking around, and they're making a living, and making a good living. I remember one year Chris Claremont bought his mother an airplane for Christmas. It's like, well, he's doing the X-Men, he was doing all right. But anyway, the thing is, it got to be better. And then the next step was to have a section of our publishing that was creator-owned. So we established Epic Comics, all creator-owned, and graphic novels. And we published those on the same terms that regular book publishing companies publish books. The author owns it. Now, the author doesn't have the right to own Spider-Man, but if he created the book, it's his book, and paid good royalties and stuff like that. So we really changed it all around. And like I said, it was a group effort. At the same time we're doing this, well, DC saw we're doing it, so they're trying to top us, and we're trying to top them. And then the other companies out there, Dark Horse and Pacific Comics, they all came up with plans, and it just changed the whole landscape for the industry. When it was about time, and so things got better. Now, I think, sales of the industry have gone down somewhat. Fewer creators are getting paid the royalties and incentives. It's not quite as bad as the page rate days, but I think that this industry needs some revolution. It needs to something to make it a creative spark, and maybe a change in distribution to get it rolling again. And then we need to become even more enlightened in the way we deal with creators.